everyone, this is Paul Gale from PaulGaleNetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is August 23rd, 2021, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, happy 30th anniversary to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. On this day, 30 years ago, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System launched in North America. What are some of your favorite #SNES games and memories? Nintendo put this up today on their Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms in general, and that's a nice image. I'm a big fan of the SNES. This thing came out 30 years ago, which was 1991. I happened to get mine for my 9th birthday, July 7th, 1992, and had Super Mario World at launch, and then got Street Fighter 2, which came out just shortly after, and just fell in love. I was already a fan of Nintendo's with the NES, and the SNES, in my opinion, really delivered as a successor and has stood the test of time, with many of its games being truly one of the greatest consoles of all time. It's hard to pick a console that's more impactful, that has a greater level of importance in the video game industry than the original NES. It saved gaming from being a several year wonder and having a giant collapse. It brought it back. It made it fun. It gave us legendary franchises like Super Mario Brothers, The Legend of Zelda, Metroid. Donkey Kong from arcades was brought to it. You saw Mega Man and Castlevania and Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem over in Japan, Dragon Quest. All of these franchises that started and had really successful runs on the NES. But the Super Nintendo really was a sophisticated jump forward, showing us how deep games can really go when you have a lot of horsepower that could show off your vision. And even though the horsepower on the SNES by today's standards is, very minimal, at the time it was such a jump forward in graphical tech, in the amount of space that developers had to work with on cartridges, and even the controller itself, so much more creativity when you have 6 buttons, which, by the way, that 4 face button layout has truly stood the test of time, as you saw it on every Xbox machine, except for the original Xbox Duke controller, which had the 4 face button layout but angled. Then they went to the sure enough, tried and true SNES style. Every PlayStation console has done it. Nintendo, ironically, has been the one to change it up, going the 6 button layout with N64 to a 4 button, very different layout with the GameCube, to Wii being, just 1 button here, which was A with B on the back, and D-pad here, and 2 buttons, 1 and 2, or A and B down there. That was different to to Wii U, which was back to 4 face button layout, and Nintendo Switch, of course, the 4 face button layout. Got tongue-tied there for a second, but very impactful layout. Shoulder buttons came up here, very impactful, has been on pretty much every controller since, and quite a nice D-pad. And really big games, You think about Super Mario World and how much bigger it was and how much more beautiful the pixel art got to being than the previous games, which were very nice looking by the time we got to Super Mario Bros. 3, but that leap forward was awesome. And Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, what a stunner that game was, and also a very solid title. You look at The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, a game that to this day many still think of as one of the best games of all time, and rightfully so. Super Metroid, just about a perfect game, from beginning to end. It brought forth so much exploration. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, talk about a fun, side-scrolling beat-em-up game. Evolutions in the Double Dragon series when we got to Super Double Dragon. Evolutions in Mega Man when we got to Mega Man X and X2. Final Fight, Super Castlevania 4, Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6, Chrono Trigger, one of the best games of all time. Super Mario RPG, Earthbound, Street Fighter 2, my personal jam. I was a big Street Fighter guy in the arcades. That was, I told this story on my channel before, coming off of my Taekwondo practice, 7, 8, 9-year-old Paul playing Street Fighter 2 in the arcades, or at my local 7-Eleven, across the street, or just next door pretty much from my Taekwondo studio, bam, playing Street Fighter 2, 2 Turbo, etc. When I had Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, that was my summer. That was my life. And the fact that we got it on this system, and so well done for an arcade port on this machine, beautiful. Earthbound, another big one. If I didn't mention it already, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, Super Mario RPG, Star Fox, you're talking about polygons and pre-rendering on this machine, the foresight to include something like the Super FX chip reader, so that when you would need the Super FX chip, you could take advantage of it and have games that look like they probably shouldn't be able to be handled on the system, handled. Some great Kirby content on this baby. Lots of third-party efforts. We had Cam Griffey Jr. Baseball. Fun things, fun games in every genre. We even got Street Fighter Alpha 2, which at that point the Nintendo 64 had already come out in September, and then in December Alpha 2 came out on this guy. So that was quite something for me. It's a special system. I have very fond memories of it. I did a live playthrough of Super Mario World today on my Instagram live channel, and I had a lot of fun. I previously played Super Mario World, recently, within the last couple of months, on the Nintendo Switch Online service, and over the last couple of years as well, including on the SNES Classic Edition a few years ago. And the game still holds up really well, which I already knew, but there's nothing quite like playing, in this case, my SNES is hooked up at my parents' house, playing on my old TV in my old game room with my son and daughter nearby to show them the game booted up just fine. I see my files. I see, file A92, levels cleared, was able to hop right back there, and there I was where I left off in Special on like Tubular or Gnarly, one of those worlds. And I just went through playing from the beginning in Yoshi's Island 1, 2, 3, going to the left, to the right, up to the second area, underground. Oh, the music in that game. Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time. Awesome system. Major props for a 30-year-old cartridge, which I owned for 29 plus years. Still working, still having those active save files intact, the controller intact, the wires, the cabling. My system is weathered. It's got that two-tone color of light gray, and never in a smoked home or anything like that. Just a little bit of sun and a little bit of just oxidization happens with those SNES systems. But hey, that's a part of its charm. It still holds up. Really great games. Happy 30th anniversary. Let me know if you have an SNES. What are some of your favorite memories? Were you a Mortal Kombat kid and enjoyed Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3 on this? Killer Instinct? Were you a fighting game fan? Did you like sports games, action, adventure, RPGs, racing, Mario Kart, F-Zero, Pilot Wings? All games that came out on this. The more I think, the more I'm like, man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, Power Rangers, X-Men, SNES had it all. Whew. Gives me a nostalgia trip. I love it. Let me know what you think. Okay, moving on. That wasn't so much gaming news, a little bit, but also a reflection into actual news. Halo Infinite. We got some update over the weekend from Microsoft. The free multiplayer is still coming out this holiday season, but a staple for the series, co-op campaign, is not going to be ready for 2021. That'll slip sometime into 2022. And the Forge mode, which is the level creator, will also be coming out in 2022, possibly staggered. And that really is interesting because how are they going to release this game potentially as an Xbox Series X/S launch title in November 2020 when it's not only a whole year later coming out, but the first player campaign mode won't be there? Is it really that much more left, or that big of a game that was pretty much going to be done, but it's such a big game that that much content needed to be repolished? I want to think the latter, because if they really thought, yep, this game is looking good and we're probably going to be done this November, and things are pretty much done, but based off of fan reaction, they're not impressed with the visuals of the frame rate and stuff like that. Let's take this game that's almost complete and go over this giant experience and really maximize every texture, every polygon count, every polygon model, everywhere where there's lighting and shadows and ray tracing available, and add in different modes where there's a mode that maybe takes advantage of frame rate and one that takes advantage of visuals and one that has some kind of combination of them, and maybe it's a giant story mode. And there's so much to be done that in order to really blow people away, they felt like a year is going to be what it takes, but it ends up being 15 months or something. Whereas the multiplayer mode, still big, but not as big in terms of overall scape that you're playing throughout as the campaign. And Forge, perhaps lots of little intricate things when it comes to objects that you could place and making sure that things don't crash. That too got slipped past the 1 year delayed mark. Because if that wasn't the case, and if the game was just not close to being completed, it really is kind of odd that a 2020 release date would have been likely at that point, before inevitably was canceled. But regardless, I still think it's awesome that if you're an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate member, you'll be able to check out Halo Infinite this holiday season essentially for free and play online multiplayer. And that's still pretty big. And that kind of does soften the blow for Xbox Series X users if that's your primary platform, because you're still getting something big and at no extra cost. So, not bad. If you want to play that campaign, you're going to have to wait, but it's better than nothing. And finally, with a little bit of more Xbox news, Gamescom specifically is taking place tomorrow over in Europe. And Microsoft is going to have a big presence there. So I thought I would give you a look here at the Gamescom 2021 Xbox stream. It starts August 24th, and the following times are based off of the locations around the world in which you might be living. 10 a.m. is for the Pacific time folks. They'll be live streaming. We should see new games, new content. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully some updated looks at Halo Infinite. Maybe they'll give us a new trailer. Maybe we'll get something new on Fable or Perfect Dark, a little trailer from some of these titles. Maybe a couple of surprises. We'll see. 12 p.m. if you're in the Mexico City time frame, 1 p.m. on the East Coast, 2 p.m. if you're in Brazil, 6 p.m. in the UK, and then we just have the following, Lagos, Cologne, Moscow, Abu Dhabi, Mumbai, and then if you're further east, Beijing, 1 a.m. on August 25th, Japan, 2 a.m., and Sydney, 3 a.m. So keep an eye out if you're interested. There is more to Gamescom than Xbox, but Xbox does have a big presence. We'll also see Ubisoft there. We will hopefully see a new trailer on Mario plus Rabbids sequel, Sparks of Hope. The game will show up there. Will there be a full-on new gameplay or discussion or something like that? I imagine so, but that's just a little bit of safe speculation on my part. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles supposedly is going to be there as well. Shredder's Revenge. I am stoked for that one. I'd be really happy if it was announced and coming out within like a 6 weeks or less time frame. That would be exciting, but we'll see. All right, that's going to do it today for Video Game News with Gale Network. Thank you for watching. This was a lot of fun talking, especially digging back into my Super Nintendo roots and sharing some of those memories with you. Let me know what you thought of that segment. Also, are you looking forward to Halo Infinite? What are your thoughts on the split release? And are you looking forward to Gamescom? In particular, the Xbox event, since that's coming up tomorrow and going to take a good chunk of our mornings, right? I'll discuss any cool content and provide my thoughts later. All right. Thanks for watching. This is PGN signing out. Take it easy. Bye.